Hi everybody. So I recently got last week got my IUD put in, and I did a video before on kind of like reviews on the birth control pills I was on. I was on Opry, APRI, Lavora, and the Depo shot. So now I'm just trying them all. So now I'm on the IUD, and I just want to tell you guys my experience. Oh yeah, so basically an IUD is something you shove up in your puss, and it goes up in your uterus, and some of them have, hormones that kind of balance your body out, and those last for 5 years. And there's also a copper one called Paragard that does not have hormones. I got mine through Kaiser because I'm still on my parents' health care. Oh my God. And also, I mean, look, with the government, the way it is, fuck Trump, first and foremost. I don't want to take no chances. I was like, I need to get my IUD. And even my OBGYN, she told me, she's just like, we've been getting a lot of people getting their IUDs lately, and I don't want to be political in my medical office. And I was like, oh girl, go ahead and be political, because that's the same reason I'm here, Like I said, I thought this was a consultation. And so I went in, before work, like an hour before work, and I was like, chilling. So I get into the OBGYN office, and I mean, what a coincidence. I'm just, in the waiting room, there was this lady, and she had like a kid that was maybe like 5. This kid was being a fucking brat, yelling at his mother, stupid, you're stupid, to his own mother. And I was like, bitch, man, fuck the IUD, man. Tie my tubes. Tie my tubes. These fucking kids, I swear to God, some of them are demons. This is why if I do have a kid, it's going to be adopted, because I need to, test drive this motherfucker, So I get into the OBGYN office, and, they're taking my, blood pressure and stuff. And then I realized that, oh no, they're doing it today. And then I was like, oh my God. I'm in the waiting room. The lady puts me in there. She came back in, and she was like, did you forget? And I was like, what? Forget what? And she's just like, I told you to undress from the waist down and cover yourself with the sheet. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't hear you say that. So I was that nervous. Because I heard it hurts. I heard it hurts from one girl that I know that had an IUD. So, I undressed and stuff, and I've gotten a pap smear before, so I wasn't really nervous about, oh my gosh, someone's looking at my vagina. For those of you scared about, someone seeing your vagina and your vulva and stuff, it's a doctor. She sees like 8,000 pusses a day, like, she don't care. She's not judging you whether you got an ingrown hair down there or whatever. Like, she don't give a fuck. She don't give a fuck. But anyway, my doctor finally comes in there, and then she asked me, like, which one do you want? You want the, I think the 5-year one. I forgot the name of it, but that one has hormones in it. And then Paragard, which is this one that I got, spoiler alert, that is just copper. That's what it looks like right there. Not actual size. It's more than 99% effective and 100% hormone free, which I'm excited about. This is going to be the first time I've been off hormones in like 4 years or so. So I'm excited. I mean, I don't feel like, birth control pill or Depo, I don't feel like it altered my mood, my body, or anything like that, but I just would rather not be on something like that if I don't have to, It lasts for up to 10 years. And, they say that, but like my doctor was saying, it pretty much lasts forever, honestly. So hopefully 10 years from now, I can just shove a new one up there, Bleeding or spotting may increase at first, but decrease in 2 to 3 months. So yeah, she warned me about that, like, your periods for a few months might be extremely heavy, or it might be more crampy than usual. So let's talk about the insertion. So I was already due for a pap smear, but so she was like, okay, so I'm just gonna do the pap smear while I'm in there, and then I'll just put it in. And I was like, okay. And last time I had a pap smear, maybe it's because it was my first, my doctor was like explaining everything. She's like, you're gonna hear a little bit of ticking, or put some fucking tongs in there. I don't know, I didn't really look at the tools. I was like, they had some pictures on the ceiling. I was like looking at the pictures, like, ooh, the ocean, okay. And then I start cramping, and I thought she was still doing the pap smear, but no, she tried to sneak up on me and she put in the IUD when I thought, you know, we were still papping, you know. So I feel like a cramp, and instantly like my entire like womb area is like cramp. And I don't usually get cramps when I'm on my period or anything, but these were like cramps, okay? And then I feel something, and it almost feels like a needle. I think this was her inserting it. She asked me beforehand, do you want like numbing? She called it like numbing solution or something. And I was like, I assumed it was like a cream that you just spread around in there and it numbs it. And I was like, oh yeah, I heard it hurts and I'm kind of a baby, so I kind of would feel better with a numbing cream. And then she was like, oh yeah, well, there is, an initial prick, fucking inject the numbing cream. And I was like, whoa, inject the numbing cream? Just do it. I was like, I'll suck it up. Just do it without the numbing agent, whatever. So I feel a shot, and it's like, I don't think it was a shot. It was probably just the IUD being shoved up in there, but it feels like someone put a needle inside of my vagina. I went like this, ah! I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. I was like, sorry, I'm a baby, sorry, I'm a baby. And I think that like prick was it like going inside of my uterus. Because after that, I was grabbing onto the chair. I was doing this because I was like, if that was the beginning, I don't even want to know what comes next. So I was like bracing myself. But then she was like, okay, that's it. It was just like a couple more minutes of cramping, nothing like, nothing like directly pricking me other than that one time, nothing like that. And then, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it hurt, like the cramps hurt, but for someone who doesn't usually get cramps, I'm sure the people that I know that get really bad cramps every time they menstruate, I'm sure that would be nothing to them. But like I said, I'm not too used to that feeling. She did an ultrasound to make sure that it was in the right place after she inserted it. And like, she's like, okay, we're gonna do the ultrasound now. Hopefully it's the only one I ever do in my life. But like, so I started like lifting my shirt like to expose my stomach. And then she's like, no, we like insert it into your vagina. And I was like, oh. And so she took like this curling iron and then shoved it in there, and then we could see it on the screen. She's like, that little white bar, that's the IUD. And I was like, oh my God. And basically that was it. I was still feeling pretty crampy for about an hour afterwards. I felt kind of, not so good. But something they didn't tell me that I really friggin' wish they did, this part, what to expect with Paragard. Because immediately after insertion, it's okay to feel temporary pinching, check, cramping, duh, dizziness, nausea, and feeling faint. Okay, let me tell you, I get dehydrated very easily. And after they inserted it, I was, fine, crampy a little bit, but fine. But by the time I was like dressed and, waiting for the nurse to come in, she was going to do my flu shot and my HPV shot. Yeah, by the time she came in, I was like sweating. It felt like I was like going to faint. I just felt terrible. I felt sweaty. I felt like clammy. Like I was going to pass out. And I was like, well, at least I'm at the doctor, But, you don't want to pass out because, you don't want to pay for the medical bills, I better be fine. For me, maybe this is like growing up in a Latinx household, but like asking for something is really, it takes a lot for me to like I will die of thirst at a friend's house before I ask for a glass of water. But if they offer, I'll be like, oh, thank you, yeah. But I felt really terrible, and I really had to like build up the courage to ask this nurse for some freaking water, because I was like, is there any water? And she's just like, oh, there's a water fountain, in the hallway. Outside, like past the waiting room, outside of the office, past the waiting room, down the hall, there's a water fountain. And I was like, oh, whatever, I'll just wait. And then like 30 seconds later, she's just like, you know, you can go. Like she was looking at me and I was like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna go. So I went outside of the office, past the waiting room, down the hall to the water fountain, and there was no water coming out of this. This water fountain was broken. I go back in, I knock on the door. Like I'm in the people in the waiting room are like waiting and I'm over here knocking on the door and I like feel like I can barely see. And then a different nurse opens the door and she's just like, can I help you? And I was like, sorry, I went out to, you know, get water. The water fountain's broken. And she's just looking at me like, and then she kind of like lets me pass through. And then I go back into the room where the nurse was waiting for me. And I was like, the water fountain was broken. And then the nurse that opened the door for me, she came in, she's just like, hey, Edna, or whatever that nurse, my nurse's name was, she's just like, she doesn't look good. Like, look at her face. Look at her face. And I was like, yeah, look at my face. Someone give me some water. And she's just like, the nurse that was at the door, she's like, you know what? I'm going to go get you some water. I was like, thank you so much. Really? Is water a scarce commodity around here? Like, I'm dying, okay? Like, can you get me some water? Thanks. And then a couple minutes later, she comes back with 2 cups of water, and I'm just like, water, the nectar of the gods. So I really wish they would have told me that I'm probably gonna feel dizzy afterwards, but they didn't. Obviously, because I'm off the pill now, so when you stop taking the birth control pill, you have your period. So, and I'm just at the end of my first period on the IUD, and it was nothing major. I mean, I did have a little bit of spotting before, like right after they inserted it. I had like weird discharge. TMI? No, it's not TMI because this is that kind of video. Where it almost looked like it was like my vaginal walls falling out minus the blood. So it was just like flakes. It was weird. Also, I feel like maybe my vagina slightly scratched up because, you know, when I was putting in my Diva cup, something kind of hurt, and it's never ever hurt when I've been putting in my Diva cup ever. So I think maybe it's just tender or sensitive. But yeah, I definitely was like, no one's getting in this puss for the next 3 days at least, because I felt like it had taken a beating, you know? No cramping out of the ordinary, just a tiny bit. Like I said, I don't really cramp. This is what my uterus looks like right now. It takes 3 or 4 months for it to, you know, for your body to fully acclimate to it. But I've just had my first period on it. Only lasted like 4 days, which is normal for me. Okay, that's how my periods usually are, like 4 days, no cramping. Wow, I'm like super blessed. Wow. So far, I like it. 2 thumbs up. And hopefully I never have to think about birth control ever, 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 ever again for the next 10 years. I'm looking forward to a childless life. Thank you so much for watching. I have, again, another video where I review Lavora, Opry, and the Depo shot. It's a 3 for 1. Okay, bye bitches.